The WNBA is now facing one of its biggest controversies to date. A league insider has come forward with serious claims about biased officiating directed at Caitlin Clark, and the situation appears to be even more troubling than anyone expected.
Exchange that Caitlin Clark had with the referee, whose name I've learned, or at least reportedly, is Michael Price. Michael Price. And I don't know all that was said, but if he said something highly inappropriate, which it appears he did, Michael Price needs to pay a price for his actions.
The WNBA is now facing a controversy it can't ignore. At the center of it is referee Michael Price, and what really happened during that tense exchange with Caitlin Clark, the one that had her ready to call the league office. This situation goes deeper than most people realize. But before diving into the details, think about this. Have you noticed how differently officials treat Caitlin Clark compared to other players? Share your thoughts in the comments down. Here's the reality. The WNBA has been acting like everything's fine, while major issues simmer under the surface. Officiating problems aren't new, but this time, there's real evidence that something more serious is going on behind the scenes. Let's break down what happened during that Fever vs. Sun game. Clark was having what looked like a routine conversation with referee Michael Price. She was calm, professional, just another moment in a heated game. But suddenly, everything changed. In an instant, her expression shifted from composed to furious. That wasn't just about disagreeing with a call. That was the reaction of someone who heard something completely out of line.
It's about calling the league. At least that's what she reportedly was saying. And I'm all for it, because something was said that took Caitlin to another level. She was already upset, but you could see the moment when she went to another level.
Here's where things get even more revealing. Clark didn't receive a technical foul during the exchange. That's unusual, considering how quickly referees have been to call technicals on her this season. Bounce the ball too hard, technical. Show a hint of emotion, technical. But in this moment, after she clearly lost her cool and had to be held back by coaches, the officials stayed silent. That says a lot. Referee Michael Price likely knew he had crossed a serious line. He understood that whatever he said was so out of bounds that giving Clark a technical would only draw more attention to the situation. If this incident had gone under review, the league would have been forced to explain why she reacted the way she did. The body language made it crystal clear. Clark went from having a normal, respectful conversation to absolute outrage in seconds. She pointed at Price, made a phone gesture signaling she was going to call the league office, and told him to grow up. That his comment was flat out rude. But perhaps the most troubling part was Price's response. He simply shrugged it off, like it didn't matter. That's not the reaction of someone who accidentally said something wrong. That's the reaction of someone who meant every word and didn't regret it.
Caitlin Clark responded to him. If he had not gone over the line with something, there's no way he would not have teed her up. Everybody wants to tee up Caitlin Clark. We know other people get away with stuff. If Caitlin Clark so much as bounces the ball too hard or bounces it off the stanchion, all of a sudden she's disrespecting the game, or she hits the stanchion and she's disrespecting the game. But so they're definitely not trying to avoid giving her a technical. But interestingly, with her reaction, which was quite animated, no technical foul, which tells me, dude done said something he ain't got no business saying. Excuse the ebonics.
Now let's talk about who Michael Price really is, because his history is hard to ignore. He's been officiating in the WNBA for over a decade, and his reputation has followed him the entire time. Mercury fans have been complaining about him for years, claiming he unfairly targeted Diana Taurasi. Sound familiar? This isn't some inexperienced referee making rookie mistakes. Price is a veteran who knows exactly how the system works, and it looks like he's been using that experience to single out specific players he doesn't favor.
What we know about the ref Caitlin Clark argued with. So, this says he's known by Mercury fans. At first I thought, that might explain it, with the Mercury, trying to troll the Fever concerning DeWanna Bonner, but it doesn't sound like that from this. He's not known favorably, according to this. Price has been a ref in the league for several years, and there are plenty of fan conversations on old WNBA-related forums in which Mercury supporters insist he has a grudge against the team, and especially against Diana Taurasi, who retired ahead of the beginning of this season. He's been officiating in the WNBA for several years. It's not immediately clear how long Price has been reffing in the league, but Swish Appeal referenced Price back in 2013. And funnily enough, it was in connection with the technical foul levied against Taurasi.
The 2012 WNBA Finals exposed a clear pattern in Michael Price's officiating. During Game 2, he handed out technical fouls to both Lindsay Whalen and coach Cheryl Reeve in a moment many described as excessive and unnecessary. That's not standard game management, that's controlling the game through intimidation. And the problem isn't just with Price, it's how the league handles situations like this. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert continues to act as if there's no officiating problem at all. Ignoring the growing frustration from players and fans, the accountability gap is massive. Players get fined for criticizing referees, but officials seem to operate without consequences, no matter how inappropriate their behavior becomes. That's not how professional sports should function. Caitlin Clark's recent reaction to Michael Price says everything. When she made the phone gesture, signaling she was ready to call the league office, it wasn't because of a minor disagreement over a foul. It was clear she heard something personal, something that crossed the line of professional conduct. This wasn't just about basketball rules. This was about respecting boundaries. The timing of the incident matters, too. Connecticut tried to challenge a play after Indiana had already inbounded the ball. According to the rules, you can't review a play once action has resumed. It's like trying to call a do-over after the next play has started. Clark was calmly explaining the rule to Price, when suddenly, the exchange escalated into something entirely different. Whatever was said shifted the conversation from basketball to something far more serious. The fact that Price approached Clark when she called him over shows he likely knew he was in the wrong. If his conduct had been professional, he would have stuck to protocol instead of continuing the confrontation. His casual shoulder shrugged after Clark told him she was contacting the league is telling. That's not the response of someone who made a simple mistake. It's the reaction of someone who believes they're above accountability. And unfortunately, based on how the WNBA has handled officiating issues in the past, he may be right. This situation highlights a bigger issue in women's sports. Female athletes already face enough challenges on the court. They shouldn't also have to deal with officials who act unprofessionally or cross personal boundaries. Players deserve respect, period. The difference in how Clark is treated compared to other athletes is clear. She gets called for minor things that other players do without consequence. She receives technical fouls for showing emotion, while others get away with much more. But when she finally reacts to something genuinely inappropriate, suddenly she's portrayed as the problem. That's not how it should work. The complaints from Mercury fans about Price targeting Diana Taurasi now seem all too familiar. It's becoming clear that this is part of a pattern, going after star players, especially those who don't back down. Price appears to take it personally when players challenge his authority, and that's a serious issue for the integrity of the game. Even more concerning is the thought that other officials might be acting the same way, unchecked. If Price feels comfortable enough to say something this inappropriate to one of the league's biggest stars, what's happening in moments when the cameras aren't rolling? The WNBA's response to this situation will reveal everything about its priorities. If they brush this under the rug, like past incidents, they'll confirm what many fans and players already believe. The league protects its officials at the expense of player safety and respect. Clark's second year should be focused on her growth as a player and on helping expand the game, not on battling officiating issues or worrying about how she's treated by refs. Let's not forget, Price has been in this league long enough to know what professional conduct looks like. His years of experience make this incident worse, not better. This isn't ignorance, it's intentional. His body language after the exchange with Clark shows everything you need to know. That wasn't the reaction of someone who feels remorse. It was the reaction of someone who believes they won't be held accountable. This incident exposes a cultural problem in WNBA officiating. When referees feel comfortable crossing professional boundaries with players, it's not just a one issue, it's systemic. The league can't keep pretending these are isolated cases. When the same officials repeatedly get called out by different teams, and when players and fans can predict who will make biased calls, that's not coincidence. That's a sign of deeper problems. Clark's reaction was justified. She's a professional athlete who deserves respect. If an official crosses the line, she has every right to stand up for herself and report it to the league office. The real question is whether the WNBA will finally address it. Based on past behavior, it's likely they'll issue a vague statement about professionalism and let Price continue working games as if nothing happened. That's exactly why this cycle continues, because there are no real consequences. The players, the fans, and the sport itself deserve better. If the WNBA truly wants to support and empower female athletes, it needs to start with holding its officials to the same standards it demands from its players. Right now, that isn't happening. Clark's willingness to confront this issue head-on shows the kind of leadership the league needs from its stars. But this problem is bigger than just one player or one ref. It's about the culture of the WNBA. And whether it's serious about protecting its athletes, the league's next move will speak volumes. This isn't just about Clark, it's about every player who might not have the same platform or fan base to speak up. If this is how officials behave with the league's biggest star, imagine how they treat rookies or lesser-known players who are afraid to say anything. That imbalance of power between officials and players can't be ignored any longer. The WNBA is at a crossroads. It can either address this problem head-on or let it continue. Knowing full well the damage it's doing to the league's credibility, the time to clean house is now before it gets even worse. What do you think should happen to Michael Price? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.